I first heard about IBMOR, or Introspective Black Men of Reform, from Truth Quad about a week ago. Link in the description. I thought this was great because the black community is ground zero in our gynocentric society. As I've stated in a few videos, the problems in the black community are caused by women, and they are spreading to all communities. They're just more apparent in the black community because it's smaller. Any ideas of reform should necessarily start in the black community, not only because it is the place of the greatest need, but the problems are much easier to identify. So again, I was excited at first, and I thought that this could be a great opportunity for men throughout the MGTOW community to put our heads together and attack the problems head on without giving a shit about who it offends. Let's come up with new solutions, and maybe, just maybe, we can save men's lives. In the old song New York, New York, it said that if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Well, if we can save the black community, we can save the entire world. So I check out Adagun Forrest, the founder of IBMOR, to learn more about it, and to see what the game plan was. And I experienced a level of disappointment that I haven't experienced since 1999, when I saw The Phantom Menace in theaters. I later watched another video by Devlin the Comic, who was one of my favorite channels, and really offered great insight and commentary about female nature from within the black community. I was excited to see him making content again, but in his video Black Men Walking Away from MGTOW, link in the description, he laid out the case loud and clear about what the issues were that black men wanted to address and why they were leaving MGTOW. And they were all about white racism, specifically all the recent shootings of black men by law enforcement, and MGTOW's supposed silence on these issues and other issues of racism facing black men. So let's talk about racism. In case you aren't aware, I've previously made 2 videos about the matrix of tribal identities, where I mentioned racism explicitly, and it was never intended to be a series, but here we are again with a 3rd installment anyway. The point of those videos regarding racism was how fucking retarded being racist is, how it divides otherwise sensible people into warring factions for no good reason, and how these factions are exploited and set against each other to benefit the tribal leaders, not the average men within the tribe. The average man in the tribe doesn't get shit. He's just a battery to be used and discarded for the power of those pulling the strings. If you want to avoid being exploited by a tribe, you need to avoid tribal identity, meaning you need to avoid basing your sense of identity on your affiliation with a tribe. Because if that's how you identify yourself, the tribe can manipulate your emotions and make you do the most retarded shit imaginable. That's a good summary of my previous videos on the subject, but I'll provide some links in the cards if you want to check out my older videos on the subject yourself. Let's conduct a little case study regarding tribal identity and emotional manipulation from the context of black men, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the recent shootings by law enforcement against black men, but to establish context, let's talk about racial demographics of the United States from the 2014 census. According to the numbers, the US is made up of 65% white, 15% Hispanic, 13% black, 4.5% Asian, 1% Native American, 1.5% other or mixed race. Alright, so focusing only on blacks and whites, we can see that there are 5 times more whites than blacks in the United States. Now let's look at police shootings and the races of the people the police shot. The Center for Juvenile and Criminal Justice, or CJCJ, analyzed 4,531 fatal police shootings from 1999 to 2011, of which 96% were men, and ranked the races most likely to be killed by police based on the number of incidents and the relative population of the race. And here they are, from most likely to be shot to least likely to be shot. 1. Native Americans, 2. Blacks, 3. Hispanics, 4. Whites, 5. Asians. So according to the numbers, Native Americans have it worse than black people, and Asians have it better than white people. Isn't that interesting? There are 5 times as many whites than blacks, but almost 3 times as many fatal shootings against blacks than whites. Using the power of math, we can determine that blacks are 15 times more likely to be shot if we equalize the population samples. 15 times is one hell of a disparity. Either blacks are committing 15 times the crimes of whites, or we have a serious problem of blatant racism going on. Let's see if we can eliminate the crime rate hypothesis by looking at homicide rates. I will directly quote a 2011 Department of Justice report from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Quote, based on available data from 1980 to 2008, blacks were disproportionately represented as both homicide victims and offenders. The victimization rate for blacks, 27.8 per 100,000, was 6 times higher than the rate for whites, 4.5 per 100,000. The offending rate for blacks, 34.4 per 100,000, was almost 8 times higher than the rate for whites, 4.5 per 100,000. It's not just homicides though. I'll let Bill Whittle break down the interracial violence between blacks and whites.
Crime Victimization Survey in 2010, 62,593 blacks were the victims of white violence. During that same year, 320,082 whites were the victims of black violence. That's 5 times as many violent attacks, but that number's misleading, since the black and white populations are not the same size. When 38 million black Americans commit 5 times as many violent crimes on 197 million whites as they receive, what you discover is that black perpetrators violently assault white victims 25 times more frequently. And when it comes to a specific kind of violent crime, aggravated assault, the number of black on white crimes is 200 times higher than white on black crimes. Oh, there's an epidemic of racial violence in America. Reporter and author Colin Flaherty has taken a cold, clear-eyed view of the statistics that don't make the news because they're suppressed by the news. He reports, for example, again in 2010, the National Crime Victimization Survey reported approximately 13,000 black on white rapes and 39,000 black on white robberies, both violent crimes. The statistics show that the number of white on black rapes and violent robberies were so small that they had to be rounded to the nearest whole number, and that whole number was 0.
Just put your tribal identity aside for 5 minutes and look at the numbers. If this was all a racist white conspiracy, why are whites getting shot by the police more than Asians? Why are Native Americans being shot more than blacks? Do you think it might have to do with blacks committing more crimes? For those black men that want to solve the problems in the black community, I want to help you, and a lot of MGTOW want to help you. Your problems are our problems because we're all men. For those of you who want to blame white people for your problems and are leaving MGTOW, here's all I have to say to you.
Bye. Bye. Ring, 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 ring. Hello? Okay, I'll tell her. Miss Endive says she needs you in her kitchen. Oh, okay. Well, see you later. Oh, wait, I forgot to tell you. Don't worry, because I'll be right back. So if you need me for anything, remember, I'll be right back. Right back. Do you need me yet? I mean, for the baby. Bye! Okay, bye.
And for those of you that want to hear these words coming from a black man's mouth, here you go.
What's up, y'all? I know it's a pretty diverse group of people that's watching this, and that's cool. But this one's going out specifically to my black people. Now, I'm going to say this once. Yes, slavery was one of the most horrific things that ever happened in human history. Yes, racism still exists. It's probably always going to exist. Just get over that. And yes, there are law enforcement officers out there that take things too far, abuse their power. They're humans. We're a flawed species. With that being said, today we're going to talk about personal responsibility. Black people, it is 2014. Hate to break this to you, if your life is messed up, it ain't because of slavery. Your ass was never a slave. You probably ain't know nobody that was a slave. You probably don't know nobody that knew nobody that was a slave. Slavery ended a long time ago. Yes, it put us in a big hole in this country, but guess what? Dig your way out of it. Civil rights, about 50 years ago. I don't know if y'all know, we won. Google it, we won. Yeah, it was a fight. They marched, they sat in, we won. So in 2014, if your life is messed up, look in the mirror, figure out what you're doing, what you're not doing. Take some personal responsibility for yourselves, for your lives. I understand, sometimes you can't help the hands you were dealt. You were born in the ghetto, in the projects, you were born in a bad situation. Nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is do your best to get out of it. If you live in a messed up neighborhood, let me give you a little advice. Stop messing it up. Ain't no rich white man sneaking into the hood in the middle of the night, spray painting graffiti, peeing in hallways. George Bush ain't out in the neighborhoods selling crack on the corner. You know what I'm saying? If your neighborhood is messed up, it's because the people in the neighborhood continually mess it up. All this, stop snitching, everything no, start snitching. Go out there, clean your neighborhood up, and then keep it clean. Somebody come through after y'all clean it up, messing up, snitch on them. Call the police. Y'all like to pull your little camera phones out and record little ignorance and put it on World Star? Pull your camera phones out and record crime, get out to the police so that way people can be prosecuted and we can stop this cycle. Teach your kids something. Guess what? Swag and Jordans and everything like that, that's cute. But guess what? No, get you an education. Get an education, get a job, better yourself, better your situation. Let's talk about the police violence. Told y'all the other day, Stop bringing stuff upon yourself. Be complicit. The little video of my man Powell that got shot in St. Louis. Why would you think it's a good idea to run up on two cops when they tell you to stop, put down whatever you got? I'm going to keep coming at them, then they're going to shoot me. Now it's black people, we supposed to be mad, and oh my God, we need to go out there and march right. No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. Stop doing crime. Here's the thing. Let's talk about Trayvon Martin for a second. Now, George Zimmerman had no business running off on that kid, and it's a shame that somebody lost their child. But the thing that nobody talked about with Trayvon Martin, in this day and age, why is it that when people see a young black man, the first thing they think of, what's he doing? Is he up to no good? He looks like trouble. You know why that is? Because that's our perception. Because that's the perception that we keep giving people. The way we act, the way we carry ourselves, the fact that how many young men out there have criminal records before they turn 18? How many men out there before they turn 25 have been incarcerated at least once? And then we want to talk about, oh, the justice system isn't fair, they come down hard on us. Okay, that may be true, but did you do it? Just because they gave you more time than they might have gave the white person? If you hadn't done the crime in the first place, you wouldn't have got any time. So stop using that as a damn excuse. If you already know that they're going to come down hard on you, that's to be even more of an incentive to stop doing crime. Stop being ignorant. Stop glorifying ignorance. This little rap lifestyle that we looking at, Lil Wayne, all these rappers out there, that's not real life. That's the kind of life that leaves you dead or in jail. And it's a damn shame that in 2014, we are still talking about this. We are still talking about the same stuff that's been all in the Tyler Perry movies, all in the John Singletary movies that we was talking about back in the 90s, Boys in the Hood, black on black crime, stop killing and looting. We need to stop being ignorant, take some responsibilities for ourselves, change our perception, the way people see us in the world. You want the cops to stop messing with you? Stop giving them a reason to. You get pulled over for DWB, for those of y'all don't know, that's driving while black. Don't be mad at the cop. Be mad at the brothers that came before you to give the reputation to the black man for a cop. See, hey, look, there's a car full of brothers. They're probably up to no good. Get to the point where when cops pull us over for nothing, they keep coming up empty. Eventually, they'll stop pulling us over. But right now, hey, there's a car full of brothers. Let's pull them over. Oh, somebody got a warrant. Oh, somebody got a weapon. Oh, somebody got some drugs. So yeah, they're going to keep doing it. Why? Because it works. You go to the crap table, you roll the dice, you keep coming up with 7, you keep rolling the dice. You start crapping out, you'll stop rolling them damn dice. Stop giving the police, stop giving the public at large reasons to look at us like we're second-class citizens. We get looked at like that because a lot of us act like that. And it may not be the majority of us, but it's the perceived majority of us, because it's the ones that you see out there on the World Star videos, on the internet, on Facebook, just acting ignorant, just acting like we don't have no damn sense, like we don't have pride as a people. Have some pride in yourself. Take responsibility for your life. Everything is not somebody else's fault. Sometimes it's just you. Empire. I'm just saying.
Segment 5, tipping point. We've talked about the politics and economics of the present moment. But I'd like to ask you about deeper changes in the nature of the country itself. This past summer you wrote this sentence, heartbreaking sentence. It is painful for me to realize that youngsters growing up in the same places in Harlem where I grew up more than 60 years ago have far less chance of rising economically, educationally, or otherwise. Close quote.
Yes.
Why do they have far less chance? They dress in better clothes, they have color televisions they're watching now.
And if that was what makes for success, we'd be in good shape. They don't get a decent education. I mean, I had to pay a lot of money for my daughter to go to a private school to get an education almost as good as I got from a public school when I was growing up in Harlem. You know.
So public education has declined. Illegitimacy. Percentage of children born out of wedlock in 2009 among African Americans, 72%, Hispanics, over half, among whites, more than a third. And of course all of this has been rising,
yes.
rising remarkably steadily. The line just continues. The effects of illegitimacy on American life?
There are two things. There's the lack of it's the one-parent family.
Right.
The illegitimacy is the way we can measure it statistically.
Right. Right.
But if you had, you know, what used to be called common law marriage, in which husbands and wives stayed together for the whole time, there'd be two parents.
Right. So what you were really measuring is one-parent family.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. My gosh, I mean, the crime statistics, almost any statistics you look at, people raised in one-parent families by mothers, the crime rate among them is vastly greater. The poverty rate is vastly greater. If you look at black husband-wife families, their poverty rate has been in single digits every year since 1994.
So it's not race, it's not ethnicity, it's whether you can manage to stay married.
That's right.
All right. Once again, Tom Sowell this past summer, quote, "Harlem was not an idyllic community by any means, but it had values that mattered in our daily lives, and common decency was in fact common." The sense that the moral grounding of American life is dissolving.
Absolutely.
Why is this? You know, you read some people who say it's capitalism, it's the free market that tends to dissolve the values that make the capitalism possible in the first place.
It's wonderful how long it took capitalism to have that effect. And it only had that effect after the welfare state came in. And that was true on both sides of the Atlantic. If you read Theodore Dalrymple's stories of the white lower class in Britain, you think he's talking about the worst ghettos in the United States. And none of the factors that are supposed to explain what's happening in the ghettos of the United States apply to the white working class in Britain. What the similarity is that in both cases, you had the welfare state intellectuals create an atmosphere that undermined all sense of self-responsibility, which said that all kinds of morality was just a joke. And if people start believing that, then they'll behave in ways that make it impossible to have a decent life.